All right, welcome back to the class. And today we're basically going to review the third exam as well. And I feel like that's really important that we going to have the content reviews. How many of you actually go to the map tutoring? So we have the information right there. And then when you go to your announcement and we can set up the map tutor, I believe it's the link is right there. And then you can go there and ask the questions. And so, or we can go to the tutor.com, whatever it is, and then we can connect them. And so you can also find the information from the map tutorings. I feel like it's also very, very, very important information. Okay, so again, that the map tutoring will be available on Blackboard Collaborate under the link, or you can dial using the phone numbers with the pin is right there. So you can literally join the tutorings on Blackboard from Monday to Thursday at 10 to 8 p.m. On Friday and Sunday, that'll be from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. So make sure you're gonna sign in information and click connect them. So unless you have any trouble with that, let them know. I believe that she has an email address right there. You can click on it and email her. And I believe she is pretty amazing girl that I ever have met before. And she's also pretty helpful in terms of like helping each other to learn and understand the course material. So anyhow, we're going to review the actually wrong fire. We're going to deal with the review for the exam. The homework file is due at the end of next Wednesday, but the faster you submit it, the faster I will grade them and let you know the grade before the exams. So that's really important. So when it's become available, so you know that what mistakes you make, or so on and so forth. All right. So I believe that was really, really important. So by the way, that we're going to review chapter 2 through chapter 4. Okay, so that's really important. So let's go for it. Let's do one of the questions. One of the questions is going to be like that for chapter 2. This question is going to be 15 points. And again, that I'm going to give you the number of data sets, around 15 to 20 of them. It can be a little bit more, like 25 coming from that questions, but generally it should not be like really, really big data sets, right? So each question's going to give us going to ask us like determine a class with constructive and constructive graph along the way. So I feel like it's really, really important. Okay, so I gotta make sure that we're gonna I'm gonna mute. Make sure that we're gonna pay attention to what we have right there. It's super important before the exam. So this is what we have, right? And this is from question number 2 from the exam review. Again, that I will be giving you a question like that on the exam. I'm going to give you a bunch of data sets, and then I will be asking you, asking us to do the class with and the frequency chart and construct the bar chart. I'm sorry, the bar chart later on. So that's really important. So the first thing that we need to remember is that we need to highlight how the number of classes. So in this case, that the question's going to ask us to determine the class width for 4 classes, right? So number of classes will be 4, and we also have 20 data sets, so that's really important. So of course, that we don't have to count them because the question also already said that we have 20 of them. And about the length of the mating flights, of the number of partners of the queens can take, that's amazing. So now we're going to look for the class width. So remember, the class width would be computed. That's really important that we're going to do the class width. All right. So the class width will be, how many of you still remember how to compute a class width from chapter 2? Anyone? How can we find a class width? How can I find a class width, like given from like the number? I'm sorry.
The biggest minus the smallest data.
Very good. And divided by the number of classes, correct?
Yeah.
Very
Divided by
good.
4.
Divided by 4. Very good. So in other words, I'm going to identify what is the biggest value that we have on a data
11.
set. 11. Very good. So we're going to take 11 and we subtract 2 because the 2 will be the smallest, right? So that's really important. And then we go into divide it by 4 because 4 will be the number of classes. So remember, make sure that we're not going to divide it by 20 because that will be the wrong answer for that. So when we divide it by 4, and make sure that we're not going to do this problem using hand, right, calculations, because we are allowed to use a calculator. So I suggest people use a calculator on the exams. If you don't have one, it's always important that we're going to download it on Blackboard and click on T83. It's better to have it on Windows because if you're using Mac, it might not be workable on the zip file. So that's really important. So then we're going to take 11 minus 2. So we need to hit equal before we divide it by 4. And after that, we're going to divide it by 4. We got 2.25, correct? So 9 over 4, we will be basically getting 2.25. That's really important that we're going to route down because the value is 0.25. A lot of us ask me, is it possible that I can route up to 3 or stuff like that? The answer is absolutely yes. If you route up to 3, that's perfectly okay. But if you route up to 2, I would say, well, it's not a big deal. I still consider that as correct answers, okay, in this case. So in this questions, I'm going to route down to 2. Just want to make sure that it doesn't really matter at all because I sort of feel like the value is coming close to 2. So just route out to 2, right? So this is the class length for each one. So since we have 4 classes, then we have to divide it by 4. So that's really important. If you forgot what it is, you can go back to the lecture notes and the lecture videos. I actually posted on, I still keep them on Blackboard. I would say that would be on second lectures. No, actually no. On the third lectures, I believe. Yeah, this is the thing that we have for chapter 2. And we can look back to it if we have any concerns or ask me the question along the way. So each lecture going to have the notes and the video uploaded in Blackboard. I really want to make sure that people watch it again before the exams and on next Wednesday. Making sure that we have no class on Monday because of the Columbus Day. So after that, we're going to make the chart. This has to be the frequency chart. It's 2 by 2. So it's just literally the chart including like 2 columns. And yeah, exam will be on Wednesday, October 14th. So that'll be a week from today. We have no class next Monday because that is a Columbus Day. The Wednesday will be the day that we're going to take the exam. Make sure that we have the times within, we have to take the exam in 24 hours. How many questions? I think I mentioned that before. it was, let me just double check that real quick. That will be 8 questions, and each question is going to have a certain chapter on it. So I believe this is the thing that we have right there. So make sure that we're going to go back to the lecture notes. If for a certain day that we miss, we go back to the notes, and then I'm going to check it out for you. So there will be 8 questions. The first question will want to be on chapter 2, that asking us to compute the class width, frequency table, and construct the bar chart. And then, so each question is going to be something like that. So for question number 6, there will be 2 questions like that. One would be on multiplications. The other one will be on addition roots. So make sure that we're going to do them appropriately, right? And then we went over question number 6 and 7 on Wednesday, because those 2 are the thing that we have on the quiz. I mean, we have a quiz on question number 6, but the contingency table was the thing that we went over. So today we're going to try to go over these 5 questions, and it's good to go. So the first step that we need to do is we need to put down a class here, and then the frequency. So that's really, really important. So one will be the class, and the other one will be the frequency, right? And it's always be like that for the first question of the exam, because of the fact that we have to construct the table. So the first class started with the smallest data set value, so that is 2. So it has to start from 2. It's not from the other number, because we can't consider the other number into account. Like, we cannot start from 0. So we have to start with the smallest value of a data set. So we have to be 2, right? And after that, we're going to take the 2 and we're going to add, I want to make it a little bigger, so we have space for that. I'm going to add 2 for this. So that will be 4, okay? So the first class is finished. Again, how do we get the upper limits? We're going to take 2 and add 2 right there. So add the class width, and we end up getting 4. After that, the next class, we're going to take 4, and then we add 2 again. Why do we have to add 2? Because this is the class length, right? So the class length have to be 2. This is what we have computed before. And we add 2, we got the answer is 6, right? But if we do that, what happens if the data set has number 4 right there? So that would be impossible to do so, right? We don't know whether we should put 4 in the first class or the second class. So it's always important that we're going to increase 1 single digit for the second class by 1, and we got 5 to 7. Very, very important. Okay, so for the next class, we cannot start from 7, because if the data set has number 7 there, we don't know if we should put that on second class or third class. So it's always have to start one number bigger than 7. So that will be equal to 8. And then we're going to add 2, so we're going to get 10. Similarly, that we're going to go to the last class, where we cannot start it from 10, because if we have 10 from the data set, we don't know whether we should it on the third class or the last class. So we have to start from 11, and then we add 2. Why do we have to add 2? Because that's basically coming from the class width. So we end up getting the last class range from 11 to 13. After we set them up correctly for the number of classes, we're going to count them. We're going to get 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's satisfy the questions required to have 4 classes, correct? So for the next step, that we need to collect the number of frequency for each class. What should we do? Anyone still remember? How can we collect the number of frequencies on the second column? Anyone still remember? Anyone knows how to do that? Okay.
Don't you count the numbers in between 2 and 4 in the set?
Yeah, that's correct. So we're going to count how many times those numbers fall between 2 and 4 on the first class. So we look at the question right there, and then we're going to count them. So how many data sets that are between 2 and 4? So we're going to have 1, 1, 2, 3, and what else? 4, right? So there are 4 of them on the first one. So we're going to count them as 4 frequencies. So very important to put that 4 on this side. And then how many data set that is that about between 5 to 7? Anyone still remember? So we're going to count them, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to count how many of them that about between 5 to 7. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make sure that we're not going to count 8. 8, right? So we're going to count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 of them, meaning that there will be 8 frequency from 5 to 7. As simple as that. I'm going to put them down. This is 8. Okay. So for the next one, we're going to count how many data about between 8 to 10. So I want to use the marker for that. So it will be 1, right? 2, 3, 4, right? So there are 4 of them, battered from 8 to 10. I'm sorry, 4 and 5 were just right there. I forgot it. So the total number of the frequency will be 5. Okay, so and then lastly, we're going to count how many number that is about between 11 to 13. So basically there are 2 of them. I'm sorry, I miscount them. It's actually 6, right? Because I forgot 9 right there, correct? So instead of 5, it should be 6 data set. So I want to put them down. Sake of change that, I change the answers. I put them down as 6 data sets. So this is the data that I miss. And finally, there are 2 of them that are about between 11 to 13. So I'm going to class them, and there will be 2. So it's always good to check the answers, like how many data set, how many total data. You want to make sure that the total have to add up to 20, right? Because there are 20 queens, honeybee, so that's really important. So we're going to add them up, like 4 plus 8 plus 6 plus 2. Right? So total is 20. So we're good to go. We haven't really missed any data set, right? We're on the right track. So finally, that we're going to sketch the column, basically the bar chart. We're going to have like different data set. So there will be 4 columns that we're going to build on the bar chart because there are 4 classes. Making sure that we need to have 4 columns because the questions indicating that 4 of them, and so that's really important that we're going to highlight how many classes that we have to have the appropriate number of boxes on the bar. So the first column, the first axis will be the number of the partners for the queens, right? So number of partner, and I might just make this a little smaller so that we don't actually have any. Okay, so and on top of that would be the frequency. Okay, so that's going to be really, really important. So, and right off the bat, we're going to construct full bar. So the first bar, we're going to contain 4 frequencies from 2 to 4. So we're going to make 4 frequencies for that. Okay, and then the second bar that contains 8 frequencies. So we're going to have the bar 8. Okay, the next one, it has 6 frequencies, so it have to be 6 right there. The last one, it has 2 frequencies, so it have to be 2. Okay, and that's pretty much the thing that we need to do. And you might want to fill up the boxes to make it look cool, but generally this is not the big deal. We're gonna put them there. There are 4 of them. and then 8 of that. And this one will be 6, and this one will be 2. It's also really important that we can also put down the number for each box. So let's say from 2 to 4, there are 4 of them. I'm going to rewrite that. So let's say this is 2 to 4, and this is 5 to 7, and this is 10 to 13, and this is 11 to 13. I'm sorry, 8 to 10. I'm sorry with that. I make a mistake for that. So this is 8 to 10, and this is 11 to 13. All right, that's it. Any questions? Are we good? If the same title question that you see on the exam, would you do it? So remember that when we build up the class length or the class width, so we're going to take the smallest value and then we add 2 because the class width that we compute is 2, and then 5, and then we add 2, and then 8 we add 2, and then 11 we add 2. We're going to have the number of class set up correctly. So that's really important. The most mistake that we may make on the exam will be this part, because we need to know how many classes that we need, and also what is the length of each class, right? What is the width of each class? We need to set up the upper and the lower class limit correctly. So that's really, really important.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the 11 minus 2 is from the largest number and the smallest number of the set,
That's
right?
correct. Mm-hmm.
So where did you get 4 from?
Number of classes.
Okay, and then the 2. How you got the 2? Because that's the lowest number in that set.
Yeah, that is the smallest number of the set. Yeah.
And then you add 2 to get 4.
Yeah, we add 2 to get 4. We add the class width.
So then the next row starts off with 5.
You started with a bigger one number bigger than 4, so that'd be 5, and then we add 2 again, so that'd be 7. Let me just do the math later, so that we can see what it is, right? So we add 2 will be 4, and then we start from 5, and then we add 2 that we're gonna get 7. I'm sorry, 5 plus 2, we got 7.
2 plus 2 is 4.
Yeah. And so on and so forth, right? Yeah, 2 plus 2 is 4. And then we keep going for 8, we add 2, and then we got 10. And then you have 11, we add 2, and we got 13. All right, so it's always really important that we're gonna add the class width. Okay, so we need to add the class width. Let me just repeat that again. So this is really important. We need to add the class width. So how can we compute a class width? We need to take the largest, subtract the smallest, and divide it by the number of classes. So the question gives us 4 classes, then we divide it by 4. If the question gives us 5 classes, then we have to divide it by 5 when we compute a class width. Are we good? Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's really important. So remember, this is the class width. This is not a magic number. On the exam, the people take one example and start to feel like, well, I want to do 2. Always add 2. Now, depending on the class width, if the class width is 5, then you have to take the smallest. We add 5, and then we increase a number bigger than that, and then we add 5 all the time. So the class width always be the same. We add them up. Okay, so this is the chapter 2 problem. Now we're going to go to chapter 3. And what is the question for chapter 3? Let me just do it. We're gonna do 2 questions, I believe.
How much time do we have on the exam?
Usually 2 hours, but I give you 1 hour's bonus for those who have the accommodation. But generally, it might be a little unfair, so just basically give everyone to have 3 hours on the exam. All right.
Okay.
So 3 hours, including the time that we submit. So when we started the exam, we had to finish it within 3 hours. So we have 24 hours, I believe, that started on Wednesday at I would say start it from 12 a.m. in the morning. I mean, just make sure that we're not going to start the exam at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. I'm sorry, 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning. So make sure to start the exam whenever you feel comfortable with. So when you start it, you have to finish in 3 hours. So if you finish late or you submit late, I basically go into questions. I might not count a point for that. So make sure that if you start the exam as 5 p.m., you have to finish it and upload everything by 8 p.m.
So the exam is only 8 questions then?
There will be 8 questions.
All right, cool.
Yeah, this is the 8 questions. This is the exam one, 8 question, right? And so make sure you're gonna read back the notes. I feel like the notes are really, really important. How many of you actually go back to the note and read them? I feel like it's really important for each day that we study so that we can have some review of what's going on. So so this is the thing that we have for the question topic for the third exams. So now we're gonna go to the second type of questions. For instance, I might ask us to do let's say the mean and standard deviations or the final summary. Okay, so they should be on the separate questions. Remember that the reason why it should be on a separate question because, as I said earlier, that is what we have to do. Okay, so this is which question is that? This is question number 12 on the exam review. Okay, so again, computer mean and standard deviation will be a question on it, and computer final summary will be another question on it. So make sure you need to read the questions carefully. Usually, I'm not going to give you A, B, and C on one single question. That would be a little too much. So, for instance, I may ask you to compute the mean and the standard deviation. So that'll be one question. And later on, I will basically ask you to compute the final summary on another question for that. Okay, so what is the final summary? The final summary that we basically need to compute what? Anyone know? You still remember? What is the final summary?
The Q1, Q2,
And Q3, right? Correct. So making sure that if the questions only ask it to do like Q1, Q2, and Q3, and make sure that we're not going to do the other part. Okay, so I feel like that's really important. So Q1, Q2, Q3 basically ask us to do like 3 medians. So that would be the final summary. The exam started at 12 a.m. in the morning on Wednesday, October 14, and it will end at 11:59 p.m. So we have the whole day to do it. It's similar type for the second exam and the final exam. So that's the reason why we going to have 24 hours. And remember, the final exam also have 8 or 9 questions on it. So it's really important that we have to finish it and complete by in 2 hours. So since I consider there's a lot of travel uploading the work on Blackboard, so no, it's similar to the second exam and final exam. It's not final exam going to be the next week. The final exam will be 2 months from today, I believe. And so what I'm saying that I'm trying to make the exam similar type to the final, so that we don't get surprised on a final exam. So let me just do this question real quick for that. So again, if the questions ask it to do the final summary, making sure that we're going to find a Q1, Q2, and Q3. That's really, really important. All right. So how can we find Q1, Q2, and Q3? First, we need to arrange the data set in order. Do we agree? So that's really important. We're gonna put them in order and then figure out a Q1, Q2. So all we have to find a Q2 first because that is the median of the entire data sets, right? So we put them in order. What's going on for that? We're going to have to rearrange the data set from the smallest to the biggest. So the smallest data set value is 52, And after that, we got 60, 66, and 73, 75, and 82, right? So that's really important. So after we arrange them, so what is the Q2 then? How can I find a Q2? How can we find a median of the entire data set?
Is it the two numbers in the middle, 66 to 73?
What should we do for that? These two numbers?
66
Add
plus
and
73
divide by
over.
Yeah. So we're going to take, so the Q2, basically, since we have two middle numbers, correct? So meaning that we're going to add them up and divide it by 2. Are we good? So we're going to take 66 plus 73 over 2. Make sure we're going to, again, homework 4 and 5, homework 5 due next Wednesday, but please do it so I can give you some feedback before the exams. And homework 4 is due today, actually due on Monday, but if you still haven't finished it, please do it. Okay. So don't wait until the last minute to finish all homework. Only 1 or 2 questions. And if you need help, make sure that we have a math tutor as well, and you can ask me the questions during the office hours or by email. So when we compute the average, when we compute a Q2, meaning that we're going to take the middle number for that. Usually we don't have to do any math calculation, but since we have 2 middle numbers, then we need to add them up and divide it by 2. So the answer for that will be 69.5. So that's really, really important. And after we get a Q2, and 1 number will be going for Q1, and 1 number will be going for Q3. I feel like that's really, really important. Yeah, so
60 will be Q1 and 75 will be Q3.
That's correct. We're going a little bit fast, but we still have people asking the questions. Right. Usually that you cannot call me on Monday, but I will have the office hours Tuesday from 4 to 5. And I'm sorry, from 4 to from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. If you're willing to come, email me. I want to send you the link for the office hour for another class. But since the class had the exam as well, so you can call me on that day before the exam, like few hours before the exam. Okay. So, oops. All right. So the reason why I put the line in the middle, I just want to make sure that we're going to separate them, and 1 number going for Q1 and 1 number going for Q3 when we compute them. It's easier to look at. If I just simply tell you that 1 is go for Q1, you don't see them, meaning that I want to split them into 1 and 1, right? So 1 is for Q1. Let me just do that. So 1 is for Q1 and 1 is for Q3. Okay. So again, that the Q1 in this case will be the middle number between 52, 60, and 66. So the middle number that we have will be 60 for sure. Okay. So that'd be the Q1 equal to 60. And on the other hand, out of 73, 75, and 82, and apparently I can have the Q3 equal to 75. So that's really, really important. Okay. So make sure that we're going to get this point correctly. If the Q2 will be the middle number, then we do not take them, right? We cannot split 1 number into half and half. You have to Q that number, and we just take the number before them, and after that, when we compute the Q1, when we find the Q1 and Q3. We only split number if there are 2 median. I'm sorry, if there are 2 middle number, and 1 is go over Q1 is 1, and 1 is go over Q3. So this is what we have for the questions. I believe that will be on question number 3 on the exam. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the to compute the mean and the standard deviation. So that also really important. So the mean also called the average, right? And we use the syntax, which is called X bar on the top of that. So how can we compute the average? What should we do for that? So remember, the mean and median very likely to be on the second question of the exam. So how can we compute the average?
You add the whole number of data sets and divide it by the
How
number.
many? Yeah, how many number of the data set that we see right there? So we're gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So n equal to 6.
On the mean and the median right now?
No, we're doing the mean and the standard deviation. So that'd be on part 8. So this is part C problem. We've finished that, right? And then we're going for part A and B. Okay. So how can I deal with the average that we're going to take? We're going to add them up and divide it by the number of data sets. So in this case, that we have 82 plus what else? Plus 73 plus 75 plus 66 plus 60 and plus 52. Correct? And after that, we're going to divide it by we're going to divide it by
6.
6 because there are 6 of them. And of course, we should not do this calculation by hand. Make sure that we're not going to do it by hand. You need to use a calculator on it. So I'm going to take 82 plus 73 plus 75 plus 66 plus 60 plus 52. Okay, and then we got 408. And after that, we need to divide it by 6. And the answer for that is equal to 68. Make sure if we have one decimal number, we're going to keep that. We're not going to write them up or write them down for the mean standard deviation. So this is the question that we have on the quiz. So after we get the average equal to 68, what should we do next? How can I compute a standard deviation? After we get the average, we're going to make the chart, correct? Anyone still remember on the first quiz, we're going to make a chart.
Yeah.
And what is the first column that we have to put down?
The data.
The data, very good. So we're going to put down all the data set that we have. The data what we have is 82 and 73 and 75, 66, 60, 52. Do we have to arrange them in order? Not necessary, okay? So we can just do that. And then what is the second column that we have to put down?
Mean.
The mean or the average, right? It's up to you, or the average. If you do not want to use the word mean, make sure they can use the word average. So we're gonna put down 66, 66, 66, and 66, right? So I'm gonna do that, 66, 66, 66, 66, 66, and 66. That's also really important that we're gonna do it that way. So for the next part of it, we're going to make a we're going to subtract them, right? Subtract them for the questions. So we're going to take the data, subtract the average, so we call it deviations. Do we agree? So deviation will be right, and then we're going to make like this column, right? We're going to take 82 minus 68. 82 minus 68. So we got, make sure we're not going to do anything by hand. We got 14. Okay. I change the marker a little bit. I got 14 in this. And then we're going to do the same thing for the second number that we take 73 minus 68. Make sure that we're going to do it by hand. I'm sorry, we're not going to do it by hand. We have to do it with a calculator. So we got 5 and 75 minus 68. Please try to use a calculator for that. I know most of you can do head, but yeah, you might make mistakes on it. So it's always important that we utilize a calculator. On the exam, it's out of battery, and you have to let me know in advance. And 60 minus 68, that'll be -8. Just want to check the answers and making sure that we're not making any trouble. We're not going to make any problem with that. And then we got to take 52 minus 68 as well. So the answer for that was -16. After that, what should we do next? After we get all of these values, what should we do next?
We square them.
You square them, right? We need to square every single data, every single digit that we found on the third column. So we call it the square deviation. I just simply put down square. So make sure when we do the square, we only hit this letter, right? We only hit this letter on the calculator. We do not hit the second or whatever it is. We only hit that one. If you sort of like, I do not want to do the square, can take 14, right? So how can you square it? We just multiply by itself. I believe that's really easy to understand. We got the answer, which is 196. But if we are used to it, we can take 14 and then you're gonna hit x squared on top of the on the middle of the calculator on the left side, and then we're gonna get the same thing, which is 196, correct? So we're gonna do that for every single digit number that we found on the list. So that one, we got 196. And the next one we got, so 5 squared equal to 25, correct? We can do the math as well. And then we, please not try to do it by hand. And 7 squared, of course, that we know that it is 49. I will check the answers. And then also we have the 2 squared is 4. 8 squared is 64. We're going to take 8 and then you're going to hit the square. Make sure we're going to skip the negative term when we do the square because all the value on the last column have to be positive. So we do the square for 8 is 64. And then we do the square for 1 for 16, we got 256, correct? And that will be the thing that we need to put them down on it. Okay. And then and so on and so forth. And 17 squared is 289. Usually it's not quite hard to memorize it, just do it the math. So after we have to square all of these values, what should we do next? What is the next step that we have to do?
Total.
We're taking a total for that, right? We're taking a total for that. And the total would be the sum of all of this. So a total that we're going to deal with will be the sum of 196 plus 25 plus 49 plus 4 plus 64 and 256. Right? So we got the answers, which is the total is 594. Okay. So it 594. After that, what should we do next? After we get total?
We divide it by 5.
We divide it by 5 because again, in this case, n equal to 6. That's apparent, but n minus 1 will be equal to 5, right? Because we have 6 data sets. We compute the average. We have to divide it by 6. But when we do the standard deviations, then we have to take away 1. So instead of 6, we have to divide it by 5. So that's really, really important. We put them down as 5 right there. So I'm gonna put an arrow for that so we can easily see what we're doing right there. Right, so we have to divide it by 5 on it. Okay, so after that, what should we do next? We're going to get the value for that. And so 594 divided by 5. So we got this one is 118.8. Make sure I'm going to keep 1 decimal for me, 1 or 2 decimals for that. So it will be equal to 11.8. Is it the final answers?
No.
What
Can
should,
you elaborate on why?
You round it to the next, it'll be 119.
no, make sure that we're not going to round. We're going to keep me at least 1 or 2 decimal numbers for that. We only
Can you elaborate why you're using 5 instead of 6?
the reason behind it because of the formula that we have right there. And
Right.
the form that we have for Math 23, it's right there. So Math 23, BCC, this is the formula sheet that we're going to use. And so when we compute the average, we always add them up divided by n. But when we compute the sample standard deviation, so we do not divide it by n. In fact, that we have to divide it by n minus 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right? Should we use this formula sheet on the exam? Yes or no? Or it just make you confusing?
I wouldn't mind using it.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind using it, you can download it from the map department. You go to map 23, you go, and map 23, BCC. And then you're going to get the first link, click on it, and it will guide you to supplementary handout. So we click on a formula package. You might need this package on the second exam for sure. Anyhow, so after we get 11.8, 11.8.8, and the next step that we need to take the square root, right? So because we do the square, we have to do the square root to initialize to see what it is, so we can see that. The package also asks it to do the last step. We need to take the square root at the end. So when we take the square root, so that will be the final answers, okay? So let me just do that real quick. Let me just do these questions. So that will be the square root of what? The square root of 118.8. Make sure that we're not going to route them until the final answer. We still do not route them. At least you have to give me 1 or 2 decimal for that. So 118, how can we take the square root? We're going to hit second and then x squared so that we can get the square root and then put that 118.8. And then we're going to enter. So the answer for that will be 0.89 or 10.89 or 10.9. It's up to you. Okay. Are we good? So again, we need to keep me at least 1 decimal number for the average. And when we do the standard deviation, we also have to keep me 1 or 2 decimal number for that after we take a total. And then when we do the square root, how can we do the square root on it? We're going to heat the second and then x squared, right? We're going to heat the second on a calculator and then put down x squared on it, so that I can get the square root correctly. Yeah, both of A and B, both that A is A or B. So A or B, yeah. So A or B generally would be on the same question. So this is part B, and this is our part A, part B, and this is part C. Okay, so and then it's always important. It's always important that we're gonna hit the second and then do the x squared when you do the square root. Make sure that we're not going to do the square root on the last column, because when you take the square root, this is what happened. I'm not sure what happening for that. We're going to get 3.74 or something like that. Usually when you square the whole number, it's going to be bigger. It's going to be getting bigger. It's not going to be something smaller than that. So it's always important that we only take the square root on the last step, right? We always hit x squared to get the value of those correctly. So let's say we're going to get 5 squared. We do not hit second. We just take 5 and a square. You're going to get 25. So that easy, right? It's important that we're going to get this. We're going to hit x squared. So so I feel like that's really important. Any questions? So you might have these questions. I mean, you might have this on the second question of the exams. And then you might have question number 3, which is on the final summary. Are we good? So we got the first questions will be on the bar chart, class width, and the frequency table. The question number 2, that very likely you're going to compute the average. The median is Q2. Remember, the medians we also call Q2. And then the standard deviations. And on the third questions, that we're going to do the Q1, Q2, and Q3. Very likely you're going to see those questions on it.
You're gonna upload this, right? This lecture.
I'm sorry?
I said, are you gonna upload this lecture?
I actually upload every single day, like from the last class. It was under the lecture notes. You click on it, and then you can see what topic that we have. So this is the thing that I ask people to to write them down. So on the lecture number 1 on October 5th, like on Monday. So this is the topic that we have learned, have basically put down on a note. So again, the first questions that we're very likely going to have the class wave frequency and bar chart. So this question will be around 15 points. The second question will be asked us to do the mean standard deviation. And this should be around 15 to 16 points as well. And then the question number 3 will be the final summary. This one is, I would say this one is pretty simple. So I would give you guys around 8 to 9 points. So Q1, Q2, and Q3, right? We look for these 3 numbers, you get a full credit for that. So the next question will be on the Shep theorem. Sorry, anyone still remember Shep theorem?
Yes.
It was 75% and 88.9%, correct? It's, yes, I remember. So this question only 10 points on the exam. But again, please do not leave blank on the exam. If you don't remember, right, try your best to do so. And maybe you can go over the review questions. I feel like that's really important. So I'm gonna pick out one question of a Shep.
I have a question, Professor.
Yeah.
How is the exam gonna be submitted? Is it gonna be like how the quizzes and the homework?
Each person gonna have different questions.
But it's gonna be like that. We're gonna do the work and
Yeah, so that is also very
take a
important.
picture and upload it.
That's gonna be very important that we're gonna go to assessment. Right. So let me just go over question number topic 4 and 5, and I will tell people what we're going to get the exam, how we're going to submit the work on Blackboard. Okay, just let me just finish this 4 and 5 topic, and then I will let you know because I need to finish those first. And then the last step, I'm going to tell us how we're going to get the exam, how we're going to submit work. Remember, the only thing that I grade the work will be, the only thing that we're going to get the grade is to submit the work, and I'll only grade the work. I do not really care if the system grade you guys, because that column is going to be gotten rid of. You're going to be removed at the end. So do not care if you're going to get a very low point, because the system just grade you without giving you partial credit for that. But when you submit work, this is the thing that I'm going to grade only. Okay, and that will be your grade, your grade as well. So let's go to question number 4, which is called Shep theorem. And I believe I want to just point out, take one questions and put it there right there. So let me just do that real quick. Shep theorem usually it's going to tell us this is the Shep theorem, and it has the keyword Shep. And why is that? Because this guy's from Russia. It's a Russian guy, and the question should give us 2 different things. One will be called the mean, and the other one we call the standard deviation. So we need to make sure that we have the average and the standard deviation right there, right? And then the keyword for that, of course, will be the Shep theorem. So we're gonna highlight this word. It's a pretty complicated word, but again, that it's for me, it's really complicated to spell it, but anyhow, this is what we're going to deal with. I have so much respect for this guy. And again, that we're going to put down the mean and standard deviation first. So the mean that we call the average will be equal to 185 pounds. I feel like that's important to put down this information. Okay. So that will be a thing. And then after that, we're going to put down the standard deviations as well. So the standard deviation that we got will be equal to 23 pounds. Okay. All right. All right. So after that, we're going to highlight, we're going to read the questions real quick. The questions are going to point out 2 numbers only. So we can literally check that there are only 2 numbers that we need to take care of. One will be 75%. And the other one is 80.9%, right? From the 75% that we basically know this will be 2 standard deviation away. I want to make it a little bigger so I can easily see what it is. 75% will be the thing that we're going to have them. Okay, so 75%. Okay, so how can we compute a 75%? So the range will be the two-step, right? So we're going to take the standard deviation at the step around from the mean. So we're going to take away 2 times the standard deviations, correct? And similarly, we have the mean and then we add 2 times the standard deviation. So that will be 75% range that we need to put them down. So the X bar that we have right there will be 185 pounds. And then we're going to take that. We're going to take 185 minus 2 times 23. So that would be the step, that would be the standard deviation from the left. So this is what we have for the lower bound. We take 185, we're going to add 2 times the standard deviation, which is 23 as well. Okay, so that will be a thing that we need to put them down. And then we, of course, we have to take, we're going to do this calculation on a calculator. Please not try to do it by hand because we can easily make mistakes on it. So I would prefer people using the calculator. We're going to take 185 minus, so we're going to put them minus 2. We don't have to put any parentheses for that, right? We do not hit equal right away. You need to do that, the same thing. So times 23, right? So make sure we're going to write the entire calculation, and then you're going to hit equal. We're going to get the lower bound, which is 139 pounds. On the upper bound, we're going to take 185, and then we're going to add 2 times 23, so that will be the standard deviations. And then we hit equal one more time. Make sure that we're not going to have anything between them, and then just do straight calculation. We're going to get 139 and 231s on it. So that will be the set of the range for about 80-75 American that have the weight bounded between this, right? So between 139 and 223. $231, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is really, really important that we're going to have this. Any concern? Any questions? Okay, so similarly for 88.9%, we're going to do the same thing, but instead of we take away 2, remember the reason why we take away 2 because of the fact that we have the reason why we take away 2 because we have 75%, right? Okay, so that's really important. So whenever we have 88.9, so we have to take away 3. Very good. 88.9%. That means that we're going to take away 3 standard deviations. We're going to take 185 minus 3 times 23. So in order to make sure that we understand it, I'm going to change the marker a little bit on that part. Just want to make sure that people understand that for 88.9, that we need to take away 3 standard deviations. Okay, so 185 plus 3 times 23 as well. Okay, so let me just change the color for that and making sure that we are doing it properly. So we take away 3 standard deviations. Right? Okay. And I want to change the color. I'm going to change the color for 2 because the reason why we take away 2 standard deviation because they're 75%. So the only thing that we need to take care of, the other thing that we need to worry about, we need to be careful, right? For 75%, that would be 2 standard deviations. For 88.9%, so that would be 3 standard deviation. So we're going to do the same problem. We're going to do the same math problem. We're going to put it on a calculator as well. And we're going to take 185 minus 3 times 23. So apparently that we're going to have 116. And then we take 185 plus 3 times 23. And then we're going to get the answer will be 254. Okay. So, and that's pretty much the final answer. So 116 and 254. Are we good? Are we good? So this will be 88.5% of the Americans going to have the weight that valued between 116 and 254 pounds. That's a lot. Around 90%, at least 90% of the data set. So again, the question is going to give us the mean and standard deviations for the type of questions. And then we gotta be really careful with that, right? When we construct 75 and 88.9. So now we're gonna go to, I would say we go to the next part of it, that we need to go to the scatter plot, right? The scatter plot problem, usually one of these problems. So this is chapter 4. I might take the first question to be fair. Did I do the first question before? Question number 15 from chapter 4. Let's go for it. I believe that is also a very, very important chapter. So let me just copy and paste. I don't think that we're able to do it. All right. So this is what we have for the questions. The following table represents the result of the first quiz and a final exam on sample of 7 students. So we have 7 people and n equal to 7, right? So apparently we need to put down number of the people, number of the data set. And they both have the exams and the final exam. So the first step that we need to do is to construct a scatter plot, right? So scatter plot have to be on the x and y axis, right? So have to be on x and y. So x will be the horizontal axis and y will be the vertical axis. Okay, so remember the x always be the first thing, that will be the quiz, and then the y will be the final. So let me just repeat again. So the x will be always be the first row, and then the final always be the y. Okay, so in this case, the x will be on this side, which is called quiz, and the final will be on this on the y-axis. So generally that we're going to have like a bunch of data set. We have 50, 50, 70, 80, 98, 78, and 98. So the smallest value that we have will be 50. Right, you're gonna put them down, use a different marker for that. So this one is 50, right? That would be the smallest data set, 50 right there. Okay, and then on the other hand, that we're going to have the biggest data set for that. So we're gonna get 98. So 98 should be on this side. Okay, so we're gonna put there, this one's 98. On the other hand, that we go into have the finals. The final, the smaller is 20. So this one is 20. Okay. And then the largest will be 93. So we're gonna put that, this one is 93. Are we good? So this is how we're gonna make the scatter plot. We still have to consider the middle part. We also have 50, 70. So this one is 70. And this one is 80, right? I don't think 70 is big enough. So this one is 70. And this one is 80. Okay, so the 70 should be around there. And then the 80 should be here as well. Okay, and then 78 should be about between 70 and 80. So that's pretty obvious for us. And we also have the that one as well. So at 20, we have 30, which is right here. And we have 50. And we have 56. And we have 72. And we have 93. Okay. So it's really, really important that we going to put the number increasing to the right, right? So we cannot have like 50 and then 70 bounded between like, I'm sorry, we cannot have like 80 bounded between 50 and 70. So 80 should be a little bit bigger range compared to 70. And then we go up to 98. So, and now we're going to match the point. So that's really important. So we're going to match the point for this type of question. So that'll be the quiz 1 and the final. So we're going to have 1 point, right? 50 and 30. So that'd be the first person's, right? So 50 and 30. So 50 there and 30 over there. Similarly, we're going to have the match point between 50 and 20. So that'll be 50 and 20 right here, right? And also that we're going to have 70 and 53. So 53 should be around a little bit bigger than that, right? And 70 right there, 70 and 53. So that'd be a third point. And also we have 80 and 50. So 80 and 50. So that should be slightly smaller than that. Okay. And similarly that we're going to have 98 and 93. So that will be another point that we're looking for. Okay. And also we have, and we have 78 and 56. So we have 78, which is around here, and then 56 right here. Right? So 78 should be bounded between 70 and 80. So that should be around here. Right? So it should be around there, right here. And then after that, we have 98 and 72. So 98 and 72 right here, the corner. So what do you think about this relation?
Is it a positive?
That has to be the positive correlations, right? You're going to put an arrow for that. Again, that it's really important that we're going to put we do not connect them, right? Make sure that we're not going to connect all of this, because this is what we call a scatter plot. So a scatter plot meaning that we're not going to connect all of this point. We just need to put the points on each plot, right? So we have n equal to 7. So there are 7.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so this will be the positive correlations because trend down. I'm sorry, because it trends up, correct? It trends up. So after we get that, what should we do next? We're going to rewrite the least square line. So the line that the question gives us is 1.16 x minus 33.6. If the question doesn't give you this line, and then we don't have to do anything, we just stop right there. Like we just stop right there. It is positive correlation because it trends up, and that's it. But if the questions give us the line, let's say the y equal to 1.16x minus 33.6, they always give us the x value. So how can we find the x value from the questions? So the x value have to be given from the questions. Then we're going to read the questions. If a student of 1060 in the first course, what is the predicted grade for the final exam? So what we need to do, the question is going to give us the x equal to 60. And then all we need to do, we just plug in the y. And so that'll be 1.16 times 60 minus 33.6. Okay, so that will be the final answers that we need to do. So in this case, that we're going to take 1.16 times 60, right? This is multiplications. So we gotta be really careful for that. And then if we subtract 33.6, so that will be the final answers. And so the answer for that will be 36 points on the exam. All right. So that will be the question that you might have. Of course, this question that you cannot avoid, but that's one I might not give us on the exam generally. If I'll give you the y equal to something like 2.1x minus 3.5, whatever it is, I always give you the x, and then you go to plug that into the functions, and then we solve for that. Are we good?
Yes.
Yeah, so we always plug in the x, and then we take the slope 1.16 times the x and subtract the constant or add the constant, and then we're gonna get the final answer for that. Okay, so this will be the thing that we need to be paying attention for that, and we finish it. So we have finished one. This is the first questions. This is the second questions. The third question. Second question right there, the mean average, and the third question will be the final summary, and that one, question number 4, and this one, question number 5. Question number 6 will be on the additions or multiplication, 6 and 7. And finally, that we're going to have question number 8 on the contingency table. And again, that we went over it from the last lectures and making sure that I'm going to read the notes again to be able to deal with that. Okay, so from the last lectures. And now on the exams, we got to be really careful for that. The exam will be on the under assessment. Let me just put them down. There will be 2 files. The one we're going to under assessment, right? So how to get the exam. This is really important. First, we're going to go to under assessment, go to Blackboard, and then we click, we're going to go to under assessment. And after that, we're going to click on, there'll be 2 files, okay? There will be 2 files. One will be the questions. I want to get like exam ones, and then this is where you're going to get the questions, okay? And if they're going to do it, so we're going to do all of these questions on the loose leaf, right? Do it on a paper, okay? And then after that, we're going to submit them, right? And then after that, after you finish it, we're going to get to another folder so that we submit the exam, submit exam 1 work here. And then what we need to do, just basically just submit everything, right? Submit work on Blackboard, and then make sure you're gonna hit submit button to get through all the work, because this is how we're gonna grade the exam. So this is how I grade you, right? This is what I grade you. Okay, so that's really important. And make sure you're gonna have to submit work. There'll be 2 folders for the exams, and you're gonna submit work for the exam 1. So I feel like that's
Quiz, I still see I had a 0, but I submitted the work.
which one? The quiz or something?
Yes, the quiz. I was on the grade, it say 0, but I submitted the work. I took a picture and sent it.
Yeah, because I haven't really graded the quiz. I have to wait until everybody submitted the work, and then I would start grading it today. You will see the grade changes after that.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we're gonna take attendance, and I will let you go for sure. And then good luck. Next.
Can you
Could I
please
get it?
go back to the exam?
Could I get it from the videos? When is the test? The test will be on next Wednesday, October.
So you said you would have office hours on Monday?
I will have the office hour on Tuesday, generally next Tuesday from 5:30. I'm sorry, from 4:30 to, I'm sorry, from 5:30 up to 6:30.
None this week?
Not this week.
Okay.
Not this week. Because I have office hours on Monday, but nobody came.
Oh, damn.
All right. So, Willis, you have a question to ask before we take attendance?
Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine.
All right. So, yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you please go back to the exam that you were showing how to get to the exam?
So first, we can go to Blackboard, and then we click on assessment. And then there'll be 2 folders for that. Folder 1, you're gonna exam 1, and then get the questions, do it on loosely. And the second thing is that we're gonna submit work under.
When is the test?
The test will be on October 14. We're gonna meet each other again on October 19. All right, I'm gonna send everybody an email for that. So exam 1.
Are we gonna practice some more?
I'm sorry.
Are we gonna continue practicing? Because I saw there was the last thing that you.
This is the last thing before we have the third exams on October 14. So exam 1 going to be on Wednesday, October 14th.
So the exam gonna be after we meet on Wednesday?
No, we don't see each other on Wednesday. We just
Oh,
basically
because
have
it's a
the
Monday schedule. All right.
yeah. We only have the exam from 12. I'm sorry, from 12 a.m. in the morning up to 11:59 p.m. at night. So we have 3 hours.
So even though that is a Monday schedule, we
The
don't
exam is
take the class.
no. I'm sorry. The Monday is actually the Columbus Day, so we have no class.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Wednesday we follow a Monday schedule,
Mhm.
right?
Right. So we go into the
Instead of
Monday
taking the
schedule.
class, we're just taking the test.
We're just taking a test for that. So
Okay.
the exam will be 3 hours. So we can start anytime from 0.01 a.m. Wednesday, October 14 up to 11:59 p.m. Okay. So we don't see each other on Wednesday because we have to,
Professor,
yeah. Yes, questions.
yeah, do you put my accommodations in for the exam?
What the accommodation for? Usually, we have 3 hours, so everybody going to be having the same hour for that. I just want to make sure that we also satisfy the accommodation for it. But unless you want to ask me to give you another half an hour for this, and I feel like that's going to be okay.
How many questions is it, Professor?
I'm sorry.
How many questions?
How many questions? We're going to check the folder and then go to the last thing that we're going to have. It should be 8 questions. Yeah. All right. So I think that really, really important for that thing. But if you go to the notes, how many of you who actually check the notes for that, like this and that I uploaded Blackboard, the lecture notes, it's really, really important.
What's that contingency table?
Contingency table was something that we went over. That one.
That's it.
You're gonna go to I believe that we need to, this is a thing that we went over on Monday, and we go to lecture notes and then we click to the file for that, which is the notes right there, and then you can see them. Also, you can watch the video again if you saw
Okay, thank you.
yeah, if you saw the feel like we haven't really understood any material for that. How many of you ever watch? I checked the view, but nobody actually seen the video, so I feel really sad for that. But anyhow, we're gonna take attendance, and I will let you know.
The exam is done by 11:59 Wednesday night.
You have to, if you start, let's say if you started at 8, if you started at 8, then you have to finish it by 11.
Okay, so when you start is when your 3 hours start.
Yeah. So the 3 hour will be the time that we are allowed to have to finish the exam.
Okay.
All right. So I feel like that's pretty much it. I'm gonna call her, like, Shayla's here. Shayla. Vanessa is here, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Pramanda is here. Wiener, Belgium.
Here.
Yep. So Ulyss here. Afraid, Cruz. Frey's here. Okay. Make sure that we let me know if you're present. And okay. And after that, good luck on the exam. If you have any questions, I want to send you guys an office hour from Tuesday. Because Columbus Day, we can't have the office hour because it's Columbus Day, but we can have the office hour from 5:30 up to 6:30 p.m. And Diego's here, and Jose is here.
Yeah.
All right. Adama is here.
Yeah.
Yes, Billy is here. Eric.
Yeah, I'm here, Professor.
All right. Olive is here.
Here.
Emily. Emily Anna. Okay. Katrina is here. Very good. Edward Lopez. All right. Virgin's here. Virgin. Okay. It's really important. And Barry's here, right? And Richard?
I'm here.
Very good. Joel's here. Kimberly's here. Janet.
I'm here.
Stephen. Stephen is not here. Jason. Selena is here for sure. You first person to show up today as well. Jason's here. Jason. All right, Jason's not here. Robert. Okay, it's not here. Amber is here. Belinda.
I'm here.
Absolutely. And Jadawi is here. Brian's here. Oliver is here. Okay, so anyway, so we're gonna see each other. Yeah.
Mr. Professor.
Yeah.
Jason is doing something important at the moment, so he couldn't attend class.
All right, I'll take extra impression for that then. Again, if you want, I can send you a link for the office hours on Tuesday from 5:30 up to 6:30 p.m. So we can see.
Professor.
Yeah.
Remember I sent you an email about the work?
About the homework?
No, about the quiz.
I haven't really graded the quiz, so I can't answer anything for that until I grade them, and then I will let you know what the grade you have. All right?
All right.
Okay. So I think if it...
Because it's saying 0 of 20, I don't understand why.
It should be 0 and 10. It's not 0 and 20, so I want to fix that later on. Okay. But even if you got like a really low grade, but as long as you show me the work, you get full credit for that.
All right.
All right. Take care.
You too, Professor.